Hello and welcome once again to the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, and this week we will be talking about Monday Night Raw for October 3rd, 2016, joined once again by Wrestling Inc.'s own Raj Giri and, of course, Matt Morgan. Matt, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing? I'm digging the Macho Man shirt.
Yeah. It's one of my favorites.
Cool. That's a good look. So Monday Night Raw tonight. Initial reactions, Matt. I heard you dig the main event. You dig what it went down tonight.
Loved the main event. I called my wife in the room and rewound a little bit toward the end. That's why I was late coming on here. It was that damn good. It was great.
Yeah, Raj, what'd you think of the show?
I thought it was good. I thought it was. I mean, outside of the title change, I thought Jericho was fantastic. So yeah, I mean, overall, I thought it was a good show. Nothing monumental. Nothing. It felt like nothing big happening outside the women's title change, but overall, it was entertaining.
Yeah, not to downplay that. I mean, so we had a women's main event match between Charlotte and Sasha Banks. Sasha did indeed win, making her now a two-time WWE Women's Champion. And was this the first women's main event in a while? I was trying to think of the last time it's actually been in the main event. And do you know, Raj, off the top of your head when that was?
No, I don't. I know they've had like a women's contract signing segment as the main event before. But I can't remember a match though.
Yeah, so we might literally be going all the way back to Lita versus Trish. Is the last time there was a women's.
Well, no. I think these two have done a main event before. I could be wrong. I think these two have main evented Raw, but I don't quote me.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, because I remember people saying like this was the first women's main event since Lita and Trish. So.
Okay.
And then no, not tonight, but whatever the last time was.
Yeah, okay.
The last time they did it. So it's been a while. We can't recall. I'm sure someone in the comments will fact check us on this and be able to hit us with the details. But yeah, I think they made it count. With 20 minutes left in the show, they did a great match, and I think the title change was really nice to see on an episode of Monday Night Raw. I think otherwise there were some other developments on the show, but that certainly overshadowed the rest. So that being said, let's jump right in and talk about what opened the show this week. Same as last week, we had Roman Reigns coming out to the Los Angeles crowd tonight, continuing his storyline with Rusev. Matt, how did you feel about this 2 weeks in a row, shifting the main focus to Roman and Rusev?
It gives it that importance feeling. Obviously, that's what they're trying to do. But when are they just gonna? It's not giving up. It's taking your talent, and using it to their utmost potential. And right now, his utmost potential to make that money is not babyface. And I don't know why they keep trying to ram this square peg through that circular hole. I don't understand it. I don't know what else needs to happen. But by now, go back to when Rock, people were yelling, chanting "Die Rocky Die," along with getting an injury at an appropriate time as well helped out. He comes back as a heel and lights everything on fire. I don't know what needs to happen here. I don't know when they lost such touch, or just being stupidly stubborn and fighting and going against the grain. They're burying this tremendous athlete. I mean, look, you watch Roman's work. There's not that many holes in his game right now. And I don't know what else needs to happen for them to finally let him be used to his fullest potential. Let him be a heel. He's begging to be a heel. Let him be the heel.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like they're almost turning Rusev babyface in this.
Yes.
The fans were chanting for Rusev. He got a big pop when his music hit. The stuff with him and with Roman Reigns and Lana. Lana almost seemed like, she was the sympathetic babyface in that exchange, because Roman was coming off as a prick while Lana is, talking about how important her husband is and family is. So it was just a weird disconnect with the creative team as far as how they're presenting these guys. I thought it would make sense to kind of get the heat back on Rusev and have him standing tall at the end of the segment, since Roman was last week and Roman just won the title. But they got several more weeks to do it. So, but yeah, I completely agree, Matt. I mean, it sounds like a broken record how many times we've said it, but I mean, it's clear that Vince just will not change his mind about it.
Yeah, and even after the wellness policy violation, I mean, Roman just right back in the spotlight, 2 weeks in a row, opening the show.
He's opening the show, but it wasn't the main event, the segment.
And it's not that. It's them blatantly ignoring the fans. They're really just straight up ignoring them. And I don't want to hear this 50-50 split BS. We're doing that because we say that with kind of hope for Roman when we say that. But let's call a spade a spade. It's not the ultimate babyface reaction you want. I don't want to hear this, well, at least he's getting a reaction. That's not what you guys designed this by. Let's be 100% real to the writing team at WWE. You did not design Roman Reigns to have a 50-50 split reaction from the crowd. You didn't.
Right.
Yeah. No, I know. I was surprised. I caught up. So I missed out last week on our podcast, but I went back today and watched Raw from last week. I was amazed that the first half hour of the show was that match with him and Rusev last week. I mean, I think just putting Roman front and center, like you guys are saying, is if the fans aren't behind you, there's a ballsy move to make you the opening segment of Raw 2 weeks in a row, because that sets the tone, right?
But we do that because we call what's stealing a pop. You steal a pop with the opening match, right? And you're the babyface. It's supposed to be the easiest reaction of the night. They cheer for the friggin' janitor if he opened the show. Okay, so that's living proof that this is not working.
Yeah. Yeah, and Lana was getting chance tonight. I mean, yeah, definitely. I see what you guys are saying about that.
Anybody would have gotten chance.
Well, I'm over.
They would have referred you to as that guy, but you would have been over.
So moving on, they had TJ Perkins versus Brian Kendrick. I thought this was really interesting because once again, I know this had one of my pet peeves where Brian Kendrick won against Perkins, but of course, non-title match.
Yeah,
the great cheat.
Glenn, you just watched last week's show. Didn't they say that this was a title match?
They were billing it, I believe, as a rematch. I believe was the language.
They never said it was for the title.
I didn't think it was for the title.
I thought it was going to be. I was disappointed. I really thought it was supposed to be too.
And it's weird. Like when you have a non-title match, announce it. You say it in the ring introductions. Have the commentators mention it on commentary. Because when Kendrick won, I think the majority of people thought that was a title change.
Yeah.
And it just announce it. Make it a point that respect your titles and make it a point that if a match is non-title, that is not non-title.
Good point.
And it's odd too, because it seems to me like Kendrick is the most storytelling they're doing with the cruiserweights. I mean, we talked about this 2 weeks ago about how they're treating them like an exhibition, like the rodeo coming in. And with Kendrick, they're really putting over the story. His last chance, he's not getting any younger. He's got to do this. And it just felt weird to me to have that happen. And it was like, oh, he won, but it's a non-title match.
Here's just me step it. This is exactly what it is. They're not putting any focus on the cruiserweights. And all this is wow, Brian Kendrick at least has something. Let's just go with that.
Yeah.
This isn't anything they're doing by design with Brian. This is Brian beating on their door nonstop, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and giving them material because Brian is so passionate about this business. One of the most passionate guys I've ever been in a ring with.
Well, plus he's the only one that's shown like real charisma as far as promos and just everything. TJ, I love him in the ring, but man, he's it's. I think you said it last week, Matt, that he looks like he's from high school, and just a drawing champion. And granted, the cruiserweight title is not drawing or anything right now, but Kendrick is the guy as far as charisma and stuff goes. Even though athletically he does the least of least of the guys.
Shocking, isn't that shocking how that works?
Well, and he's been through the system, right? These other guys, the cruiserweights, they never sat in the promo class at NXT. They might have had a crash course in doing this. They might have someone working with them now. But Matt, you could come back tomorrow, and by default, if having been through the process before, you could smoke these guys on camera and cutting a promo because they don't have that experience.
Well, a lot of these and a lot of these, a lot of this smaller talent that do insane moves, they're always rehearsing moves. They're not rehearsing, learning character and promos and things like that. And it shows there. You don't have because what WWE needs for the cruiserweight division to take off is someone, and granted, you're not going to find a Conor McGregor, but someone, like that can just really go on the mic, that's great at promos and is good in the ring. And otherwise, it's just going to be flashy moves, and the audiences will get tired of that after a while, because you see that already on the in the heavyweights.
I think there's a disconnect with the writing team and the cruiserweights as well. I don't think they have a single solitary clue how to I don't know if the writing team is older nowadays. I don't know really anybody in the writing team nowadays to be able to make that comment, but I'm assuming there's an age difference, a generational gap even. And I don't think they know how to write for these guys. So it's on the cruisers to step the freak up and take opportunities with this microphone time. Don't be scared to go to, if any of you are watching this, go knock on Vince's door. He gets off on that. Okay. You can only get over by doing that. You cannot possibly mess up here. All right, knock on his door. Go in there and pick that man's brain. Talk to him. Show that you give a crap. He'll be way more emotionally invested in you. He will give you that microphone time because you set it out on the table that you want it, and then they'll start developing in you more. The writing team will pay more attention to you. It shouldn't be that way, but that's how it is.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on them using the pink ropes and changing the apron and everything?
I don't know.
I mean the purple rope. Sorry.
Purple.
The first time I didn't even notice it. You said it on the show, and I was like, "Holy crap! I didn't even notice that." I'm supposed to be doing these post-show Raws with you. I'm supposed to be noticing these things. I was like, "Shit! I didn't notice that." I don't really care. I mean, it's supposed to make it different. If it does make it different, then cool. If somebody watches it, clicking through the channels, and they stop for some stupid reason because it's pink, I don't know what they're thinking, but it's supposed to make it different. I get that's why they're trying to do it, but
yeah. I think as long as I think it's weird because you don't do that for the tag division or the women's division. You know, like you don't have separate themes, right? But if it keeps Vince McMahon away from the cruiserweights and just stops him from intermixing them with the heavyweights and start getting squashed by heavyweights, then it's probably a good thing.
Well, but I think it keeps it as a sideshow, though, right? I mean, 10 years ago they would have done this for a Divas match. If someone would have had the thought, like, "Oh, let's change the ropes out for the Divas matches."
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not that it delegitimizes it, but it puts it makes it separate from the show.
One thing, I wonder if they took my suggestion from last week about putting the show on earlier, because the cruiserweight match earlier, because the fans were having it early in the show. They were into this.
Well, having more than one,
good point.
I mean, I think helped integrate it further. But Matt, let me ask you: do you think a mistake that a lot of call-ups make, if they're not organically getting a push, is that they're just so happy to be in the show and on the main roster that they're not proactively trying to push their character forward, you said?
No question about it. Even more so than when I was up there. That started around my time, I would say, around 2004-ish. I started in 02, but around 04 is when I noticed people started getting a little bit scared to be going in Vince's office. You don't hear as many of those Shawn Michaels stories as you used to about Shawn passing that whole line of wrestlers waiting outside of Vince's office and just cutting the line and walking in there, putting his feet up on the couch and telling Vince, "This is what you're going to do with me." Like that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen now. I don't know why it doesn't, because if Vince is ever going to be a sucker for someone coming in there with balls, I guarantee you he loves Brian Kendrick, by the way. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
I just know it. I don't know what they're waiting for. If any of you are watching this, you're going to kick yourself in your own butt by not doing this. Knock on that man's door. If you can get him just a little bit emotionally invested in you, sky's the limit.
Number one fan of the Phenomenal One in the comment section suggested putting Enzo in the cruiserweight division. Now that, the quality of wrestling would go down, but
immensely.
But man, people would pop for that. People would pop for that huge.
Yeah, they would. That's actually, that's actually a good idea. Dude is super over.
Yeah, get some characters in there. You've got a lot of great wrestlers now.
Actually, him versus Kendrick would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really what's lacking. I mean, in my opinion, is aside from Kendrick and Perkins, and I mean, with Rich Swann, I mean, they make
Rich Swann's got some character.
Yeah, he does. But I feel like with some of the other guys, like I can't name them off the top of my head. It's like they don't stand out that much to me, where it's like I'm a fan of X, Y, or Z. But I think the matches are great. That's the thing. It's like the wrestling is fantastic. It's just that it's a character-driven business.
Yeah, and tonight I thought this match was really good with Perkins and Kendrick. Really good. Most of the matches tonight were solid. So and this started that trend.
Yeah. So we had the interview with Rollins after that from Michael Cole. I mean, what do you think? I mean, so where do you think we're at in the face turn? I mean, it seems like it's pretty full on now that, having Stephanie later point out, no authority, no shield. He's an island unto himself,
right.
In his quest. I mean, have we completed the full face transition in how they're going to treat him now?
I thought he already was.
Yeah.
My opinion.
Yeah, I think he has been. I think, high-fiving the New Day and stuff this week added to it. But I thought that interview was just bland. You know, for a top babyface, that's not the kind of, you know, first of all, if you want to really go all the way with Rollins as babyface, he needs to stop acting like a bitter ex-girlfriend, you know, that got dumped by Triple H and Stephanie. You know, like he's still like so upset by it. He should be like happy. Like he felt like, you know, they're holding him down. He wanted to be by himself, and they were, you know, it should be like he had been wanting to do that, and they did it anyway.
Go back WWE and watch your own stuff. Watch the transition of Randy Orton, transitioning into a babyface champion. Watch that, because there was no question he was ready. There was no question that he was a babyface star coming out of that. No question, and the fans were ready for it, and it was perfect timing. He never would act like he was some turned down girlfriend and yada yada yada.
Yeah, and then when he's talking about you know, how Owens cheated to win it, but he did it his way by cashing in Money in the Bank. It's like, dude, you're being a super hypocrite, because at least Kevin Owens wrestled a full match. You went in for, you know, at the end of a match, wrestled for like a minute and a half and won the title. It's not just drop, you know, they should just drop all that. Kevin Owens just messed with the wrong guy, and he's coming after him, and he wants his title back. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. I mean, as well, while we're talking about this. Okay, so one, do you guys infer that in kayfabe we're supposed to? I'm starting to pick up on this idea that there's a tension, like you guys said, ex-girlfriend, like that Rollins and Stephanie were carrying on behind Hunter's back. Is what I'm starting to infer by the way he's relating to her and treating her and talking to her. It makes it seem like they were having an affair or something, and now he feels
WWE wouldn't go there.
Oh, they wouldn't go there?
No way.
Vince wanted Steph to have Vince's kid.
When they had Kurt Angle and Stephanie, one of the hottest angles that they had, where Kurt had the hots for Steph, and they just dropped it cold. They don't, especially with Triple H and Stephanie having kids. There's no way Vince, none of those guys would go for it. It'd be really interesting, but they wouldn't go for it.
Because with the way he's behaving, that's how it's starting to seem to me. Like that's the intention,
Really?
Yeah, I don't know, but maybe I'm reading something that's not there. We'll talk about the Owens response to Rollins' comment in a little bit, but we came back from that, and we had was the Susan Komen? Is that correct? That happened immediately after that. I'm looking here at the recap. I'm just making sure we're in the right order. Yeah, so we had the Susan Komen. We had some cancer survivors with Enzo and Cass.
Does this make me a heel for hating this? Does that make me a bad person? I'm being honest. Fans out there, light me up on Twitter if I'm being a jerk here about this.
We donate monthly to Komen, but I find these, when they're over touting their charity work, it drives me nuts.
But that's not even. It's like it's more about the usage of your coolest act. Okay, Big Cass and Enzo. Oh my God, this is how guys get on over. This is how it happens. This is how it starts.
I think the fans, because it's them, I don't think it necessarily hurts them, but I definitely get your point.
I'm of two minds about it.
Let John have it. I don't give a crap if he's on another show. Give Popeye, let him do that crap.
Yeah,
those two are supposed to be edgy. They're too cool for that. As horrible as that sounds, to me, when I watch a show, they're too cool for that.
I agree. And they're over. I mean, they do it every year, but just over giving themselves way too much credit for doing this stuff. And it's nice that they're doing it, but man, they beat it over your head.
You know who they would love to do it, but he ain't over enough for them to be putting him in that spot at the moment, and it's Roman. Well,
they did it last year.
Roman would be did he? Because that's right on the money. He's the ideal baby face for that.
Yeah, that's who they had last year do it.
Yeah, they can't risk it this year, though. Roman getting booed during a fundraising segment.
No, last year, the fans knew better than to boo Roman last year. But they did Hogan the year before that, and Cena, I think, the year before that, or maybe Titus and then Cena. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I see all points with it. I mean, I don't want to be completely cynical about it. I know, some people have issues with Komen. I mean, not with breast cancer research, but with Komen in particular. So yeah, I think it's people seem to be of varying opinions online about it. I mean, I thought they at least tried to make it entertaining. I'll give them
No,
that.
like I don't mind that they do anything about it. You got to get. I don't think that's selfish of WWE wanting to get a return on their investment of charity.
Yeah.
I know it sounds oxymoronic. I get that. I'm saying don't put your edgy characters in that stuff because guess what happens? You round them out. They're no longer edgy.
Yeah.
They're John Cena wannabes. I don't want that for those two.
I agree.
It could have been New Day, you know.
There you go. Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So moving on, let's talk Braun Strowman versus Chase Silver. So we had a local guy.
Did any of you guys think he looked like Adam Cole?
I saw that. I didn't think that when I first saw him. No,
Uh-uh.
but a lot of people were saying that.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Looked like he could be like his like a cousin or something.
So what was notable about this match again, and that's why I'm bringing it up, Matt, because I know you don't want to talk about Braun matches unless they're real matches or anything different happens than just him squashing some poor guy. But at the end, he was talking about Mick Foley's got to give him some real competition. So with that being said, take both of your predictions. Matt, you first. Who do you think is real competition for Braun?
Alicia Fox.
Nia Jax.
Yeah.
I could see them going with like Luke Harper. He's supposed to be he's coming back to action this week, but
you think they just feed him to him like that?
Yeah, that's true because whoever they give him is gonna get squashed.
Oh, since he's been off TV for 2 weeks and it looks like his gimmick died, Bo Dallas. That's my prediction.
Or Darren Young.
Yeah. Oh, Darren's on SmackDown, isn't he?
Oh yeah, no, Darren.
No, he's
Darren's
not.
on Raw. Remember, he's been feuding with Titus forever, and they just dropped it.
The feud that'll never. that maybe
well, apparently it has ended. Thank God.
Yeah. So there's people they can feed to Braun, but I thought today, like Braun talking, that was like, oh man, less is more, man.
Yes.
Like,
I was actually surprised at how much worse I was expecting it to be. I thought it started off like with that. It started off cheesy with the rawr, but I thought he finished it well and it made his point. I don't like when you're trying too hard to sound like a monster, but I thought it could have been a lot worse.
Raj, I believe that's what George W. Bush called the soft bigotry of low expectations.
There you go.
That you had for Braun.
Know your target demographic. For every fan out there watching this, I apologize for that.
Hey, they were all tuning into the debates last week, so they might know.
Yeah. So after that, we had some stuff backstage happen with Bayley and Sasha. It looks like they're simpatico. They're on the same page going into tonight's title match. Came back, had Kevin Owens responding to Seth Rollins coming up. But one thing they did confirm, though, that we didn't mention earlier is Rusev versus Reigns for Hell in the Cell. Interesting they're doing it this far out. I mean, we're what, like 3 weeks away from that pay-per-view?
Yeah. I mean, you got to. I mean, if that's your cell match, I don't know how many they're going to do. I'm guessing there'll probably be 2. But if that, we're not that far away, so yeah, you got to start pushing them, and they've only pushed once. Right now they haven't really done much of a build for the second, unless it's Rollins and Owens in a Hell in a Cell. But yeah, I think you got to.
Yeah. So what'd you think of the Jericho and Owens segment and sort of their reaction to everything that was said with where Rollins is coming from and their whole thing with Kutcher and Masterson tonight?
I thought it was good. I'm always entertained. Anything those two touch, I'm generally entertained by it. I
thought this was awesome. I mean, well, are we talking about the first promo in the ring?
Yeah, the first promo.
In the ring? Yeah, I thought that was great.
Yeah.
And it made sense. And Jericho suggesting they go after the tag titles, and Kevin Owens is not crazy about it because he's already world champ. And then Jericho, saying, well, then I might. It's not like I'm coming after your belt. That changes his mind. I thought it was perfect. That New Day coming out. They had that one really rough line on Owens where Owens talked about them jumping the shark, and Wood said that he hasn't jumped over anything. And I thought this was the best segment that New Day's been in a while, and I thought this might have been the best. This was probably the best non outside the women's title match. This was probably the best thing on the show.
It was. Yep.
What do you guys think about this? I can't remember, pardon me, if it's a bit of a jumble between last week and last week's episode and today, but I thought it was interesting in them calling out Rollins as being dangerous, a dangerous in-ring worker.
Who?
Owens was calling that out, and pardon me again because I watched both episodes literally back. But
yeah, that was last week.
Yeah, but just that angle of just them like very meta calling out, that people like obviously Bret Hart famously has called Rollins a dangerous worker, listing off the people that he injured, and then Owens saying him taking him out makes him the most dangerous.
Yeah, I think it was just a 1 week promo thing to get over him injuring Rollins.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was interesting. But so on the level of non-interesting, Sami Zayn versus Titus O'Neil. Yeah, that was something. So what did you think about this, that Sami Zayn won, yet this was supposed to be Titus's new gimmick with the Titus brand, Titus everything? I mean, they built that up, and then so I was like, well, if he's got a new gimmick, he must be winning this match. But no, Sami Zayn took him out, made short work of him. I mean, Matt, is this just further proof that Vince McMahon is still pissed at Titus, between Father's Day, making him lose on the 4th of July, and now like, oh, hey, buddy, you got a new gimmick. No, but you're going to lose too. I mean, is this just the punishment never end?
No, it's just giving him something different to do. And come on. I mean, I still didn't think he was going to go over this match. I thought best case scenario for him, something happens where he gets DQ'd and looks like an absolute monster somehow at the end of it all, but nonetheless he still would have lost. That's really it. It's just I would like to see him do good Lord, what's wrong with me? I'd love to see Sammy doing something more, something with more importance at the moment, but he's still in that holding pattern for whatever rhyme or reason.
Yeah, same as like Neville, and I mean, there's like a lot of talented guys.
Oh my God,
for a 3-hour show that you got, and you're not, doing more with them. You got 30 guys on your creative team. Look at these guys and give them something.
They have 30 now. Is that true? 30?
Yeah,
you gotta be kidding.
It's hovering around the 30 mark. Yeah. So there's really no excuse why you can't be utilizing the talent better.
Well, I think they just need to build Sammy enough so during Owens' title reign, they can do, a pay-per-view main event with the two of them. But I don't think Sammy's at that level, right?
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because
that's not his fault.
No,
that is not his fault.
But they're not doing anything to get him to that.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what's so frustrating. Speaking of how the mighty have fallen, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson going up against the Golden Truth.
At least they got a win here.
Yeah.
They could have easily went the other way.
So now Gallows and Anderson are not doing comedy anymore. And they said it themselves tonight, which I thought was nice of them pointing out that they're the only legitimate non-comedy. Well, they referred to it as a clown car in the tag team division. But I mean, they're the legit guys. So maybe this is the start of them, showing some dominance. And if you got to start somewhere, I guess the Golden Truth is literally at the bottom.
Yep. You hit everything on the head right there.
Yeah. Who do you have a feud with though? There's like no tag teams outside of.
That's why you saw what you saw tonight. There is not. That's exactly what's happened.
Right. I mean, there's not even that many tag teams for them to squash. You got Golden Truth, and I can't even name anyone else. Because New Day's busy and Shining Stars have got their own thing with Enzo and Cass, I think. So I don't know.
I was secretly hoping the Shining Stars were going to come out during that Susan G. Komen segment. I was just like, this is. Then all the women won a belt and a trip to Puerto Rico. I was just fingers crossed for that one. But yeah, I thought the match with the Golden Truth. I will say this: they carried the first minute or two of the match, at least making the Golden Truth, giving them a little moment of credibility to where it wasn't just a complete squash. I mean, we know that Golden Truth can wrestle, and I like that they at least left that in. I don't think it was ever in doubt though who was going to win.
At least they got an entrance.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's the song, man. I'm convinced Vince just loves the song because he knows the kids love the hip hop.
The hip hop. I can see him saying that.
Yeah. So from there we had the Ashton Kutcher and Danny Masterson, which was built up during the week in the promos leading up to tonight.
Yeah.
Coming in, they were on commentary versus Owens and Jericho versus the New Day. Which was interesting. That was stipulated as a non-title match also, I believe. What did you think of that celebrity guest appearance and how they handled that? I mean, I guess on a scale of Jeremy Piven to Hugh Jackman, where did this fall?
Summerfest. I think as far as celebrity cameos went, this was one of the better ones, and I think it was all because of Jericho. Their backstage stuff with Jericho and Owens, I thought was just gold. I thought Jericho just made that segment when he did that little turnaround at the end, and that was awesome. So, I was dreading that segment, and I thought that Jericho just made it work as well as it possibly could have.
Yep.
No, and that was good. It was the commentary.
The commentary, then burying Kevin Owens on commentary.
What is with that tonight? I feel like Kevin Owens. I mean, is this the first time that like people have full out like called Kevin Owens fat?
They've been doing it for a while. Remember,
but it seems like it hasn't been. It's been a while since though. It's been this like lampshaded.
This was a lot for this one show because Xavier Woods made that crack about how he's not able to jump over anything, and then you had these guys just tearing him to shreds. And when you got Vince McMahon thinks a lot of, what celebrities think. And when they're on commentary burying this guy, you got to wonder if it makes an effect.
I think he normally, yes, you're right, but not when it's his flagship show's champion. I know that sounds markish to say, but it's his company. That's his number one title. It's on his number one show. He'll never look at that any differently. I don't know. I see both sides of it. I do. I think you can't ignore the elephant in the room. But double entendre there, guys. But nonetheless, I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. This goes back to what we talked about last week. Is he should change up his something because no one ever called the Big Boss Man fat, or ripping on his weight because he built this character and this badass character, same as Bam Bam Bigelow. It's you didn't have people just ripping him as fat on commentary. Ridiculous character, Hakeem the African Dream. Right. Like it's ridiculous. That I don't know if that was because of the era maybe, and people weren't shooting at the time as much, and nowadays it's an everyday thing. I don't know. I don't know what to tell him to wear. I don't know. I just know I love what he does in that ring, and I love him on the mic. He's my favorite character.
Yeah. No, I think he's fantastic. And I think it's just, his look is different, but I think it works. He is old school in that sense.
I think it's good. I think the business needs this. I'm sorry to cut you off, Glenn. I meant to say that earlier. I think the business needs this.
Yeah.
Coming from the big, quote unquote, big jacked up giant, you would think I wouldn't want that. No, I grew up watching the guys of all different shapes and sizes, and it's important to have that in our business. Kids need to be able to see that they can achieve something like this, and they don't have to be all roided out and the roided look, if you will. It doesn't mean you have skill or talent. You actually have to have skill and talent.
And he's agile. He's very agile.
Oh my God, he's athletic as hell.
I don't think anyone will doubt he's a fantastic wrestler. I think
I just think that like you said, cosmically.
Yeah, the fact that it comes to people's minds a lot quicker than it has with other.
I don't know. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. You froze up there for a second. Sorry,
yeah,
I didn't know. Okay. Yeah, I was just saying it's just for some reason with him it comes up more than other people with similar physiques in the past.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, though, it doesn't help that he's teaming with Chris Jericho, who has benefited immensely from one of our sponsors, DDP Yoga. If you don't know by now, DDP Yoga has changed countless lives, and many of the past and current roster have benefited immensely from it. Not only Chris Jericho, Scott Hall, Jake Roberts, Mick Foley, they all swear by DDP Yoga. And now DDP has taken it to another level with the DDP Yoga Now app on iOS and Android devices. So you've got no excuse because you can take it anywhere. And the cool thing about their app is that you can not only track your DDP Yoga workouts, you can hook it up to a Bluetooth heart rate monitor, track your calories and heart rate in real time. So when you're out running errands, you're at the gym, you're on your DDP yoga mat, you know what your fitness level is. All the fitness tracking features, including pain tracking, measurements, progress photos, and more are completely free in the DDP Yoga Now app. And subscribers won't get tired of doing the same workouts because they've added completely new DDP Yoga 2.0 workouts, weekly live workouts straight from the DDP Yoga Performance Center, and motivational messages every Monday from DDP himself. He even hosts his own cooking show on the app, showing you how to make healthy food taste amazing. Now, for a limited time, you can get the DDP Yoga DVDs for 15% off, plus 3 months of full access to the DDP Yoga Now app. Head on over to ddpyoga.com/wrestlinginc. Stop procrastinating. Get started now with DDP Yoga. That's ddpyoga.com/wrestlinginc. And we thank them for sponsoring the podcast. So after that match, we had, Seth Rollins and Stephanie backstage, building stuff up a little bit more, really, talking about his interference that he had in the previous match at the end of the Jericho Owens match. And from there, we went to another cruiserweight match with Tony. Is it Nese? Is that right? Tony Nese versus Rich Swann. I mean, we talked about this earlier. I thought their in-ring action was great, but aside from sort of their bit of a nod to Rich Swann's, hard upbringing and adversity he's overcome, I felt like I really didn't know much about what the story was going into this match.
Yeah, and that inset promo from Tony was pretty cringeworthy, I thought.
Yeah, and they taped it. That wasn't live. They could
Almost
have done another tape.
Almost all of these inset promos they do are terrible, regardless of who they are.
Real quick, when they do that, guys, everybody backstage is walking by watching, especially when you're a newbie. All the top stars, sometimes Vince, everybody's walking by and watching you cut that promo. If there's a time where you're going to be, and in your pants, it's then when you're brand new, especially an undersized newcomer.
Yeah. That's, I mean, in general, I just feel like it's very 80s, those inset promos.
Yeah.
There's just nothing natural about them.
And it reminds me more actually of like American Ninja Warrior or Matt, going back to your past, like American Gladiators, like having a little quote from the person like, I'm going to rock this event. It's like one of those, like we're all hyped up to go and do it things. So like, it's very tricky to do those correctly. And in this case, I feel like they're not even putting in the effort to try.
That's what I was just going to say, Glenn. At the tip of my tongue, it's like the writing team is giving this no thought. They're not trying to talk to these guys behind the scenes. At least I don't think they are, and trying to get to know who they are. And their job is to take that and transition it into some sort of natural conversation on television. Promo is supposed to be conversational, not what we're watching. It's brutal.
Let me ask you something, Matt, real quick, since he's a fellow podcast host. How was Vince Russo with working with you back when you were in TNA?
I'm not just blowing smoke because I would love to bury him right now because I like Ribbon Vince. After JC Cornette, he's probably my second favorite person to work with as far as promos go and being able to come up to him and discuss things. And I didn't always agree with things with Vince, but you could at least voice your opinion, and he'd let me try new things, and it definitely got my character the most out of anybody else that I'd worked with in WWE or TNA as far as being on TV goes. But before that, in OVW, Cornette got me the best.
Yeah.
Tony Nese won. I thought again, the wrestling is good. These guys, they're very good in the ring. It's just I just want motivation to know what the stakes are. I just want to care a little bit. That's all I'm really asking for.
Yeah, and they do have to introduce it. So their way of introducing it is just throwing these cold matches out. But hopefully, this is just the beginning, and hopefully, we will see more of that as it goes on.
And if they don't give them storylines, why don't we just bring out guys that juggle and have them juggle in the center of the ring?
Don't say that too loud.
A juggling wrestler. Vince, write it down. Sure, that's a gimmick. As predicted in the build-up to Clash of the Champions, Cesaro and Sheamus, being a tag team now, had a match against some enhancement talent. Speaking to what you were saying, Matt, about the tag division, they're bringing in enhancement guys for them to win over. What do you think of that pairing and how that's working out with the sort of odd couple thing and them beating Mark Carradine and Raul White?
Hey, at least you give the guys their their name pop. Good job, Glenn. I think they make an interesting odd couple. I can tell you creative still doesn't have anything for them. I know that people probably think they do, but they don't. That's what they do when creative is still putting somebody in a holding pattern, if you will. Yeah. And they always think they can go to Sheamus and steal main events here and there. And to do that, you still got to keep them on TV. I think they're doing more damage with him by doing that. But yet his matches versus, Cesaro have been really, really good. It's a tough spot, but they put themselves here, them being creative by making those guys go that long in singles matches together. And now it was so predictable that they were doing this. It was so foreseeable. And sometimes it's okay to be predictable in wrestling. This was not a time, in my opinion, when it was good to be predictable.
Yeah, it just seemed all their segments seemed forced, and they just don't have that comedic chemistry, again, we're only in a couple weeks. We'll see if it changes, but Cesaro, he can be a great promo, but he's a serious promo.
Yes.
He's not a funny guy. And
yes,
kind of put him in this comedy situation. It's just like, I don't think it's going to do him any favors.
You're right.
In fact, I think them against Gallows and Anderson, I think would be a good feud to do and build.
Please, I pay money to watch that bell. Once the bell rings, I would pay to see that.
Yeah, and I think they could do that with some light, not even light comedy, but with a sense they have a sense of humor, but they're not comedy acts, and I think that would work fine.
Sheamus is good enough to do his stuff because he's done it long enough. He's been on television, established enough. Cesaro gets too cute sometimes, and he doesn't need to do that. You know, I don't know why they keep trying to think, oh, we need to bring out his character. We need to bring out his character. Look, he's been on TV long enough now where we get what the Swiss Superman is about. He was most over when he was doing what? When he was getting over with his wrestling ability versus John Cena and doing all these crazy feats of strength in his matches. He was super impressive, and that was a time to pull the trigger on him, and they missed it.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully they have these segments die out over the next couple of weeks and have them gel as a tag team and the comedy and make them. You can make them a legit threat, and at least you know it has them doing something, and they could do a split down the road. But the comedy is not working.
And if it is comedy, though, Raj, it's got to be on Sheamus.
Yeah, right.
You know, it does.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the main event. I want to talk about what they set up backstage with Bayley and Dana. But first, did you guys catch that promo for Emma? And what's it now? The evolution, the Emma Lisa or something like Emmalina. They're changing her name. They're doing
Emma's becoming Emmalina, and they showed all these like hot pictures that she's been posting on Instagram. She actually she looks way different than she did back when she was with Santino.
Well, that was a long time ago. She also dropped the dance moves, which I think she should bring back.
It wasn't that long ago, but she looks completely different.
Yeah, no, she looks good, but I don't know. I mean, I liked her sort of badass biker motorcycle cop glasses and the shit she was doing for the interview.
I did too.
It was great.
Yeah, I felt like they hadn't really completely tried that out. So
Evil Emma
she was like a white Rihanna, like her look. It's pretty badass.
Yeah, just you could tell she had an edge. You don't mess with her at a club, or she'll kick your ass.
Yeah, so I'm curious what is going to be coming back, and seeing how it works. I wonder if we're going to get another remix of her theme.
And she's money in the ring, as you guys already know. She is awesome in the ring.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm hoping there's something for her, right? I mean, because it's like in the dance card thing, it's like if Nia, Alicia, maybe if Paige finally gets cleared and comes back.
Paige is getting surgery.
Yeah, so Paige is out for a while.
Yeah.
See Alicia.
Yeah.
Bye, Alicia.
Yeah.
Yeah, Emma versus Nia. That's solid. I would see that.
Yeah, but they'd probably have her squash Emma. So I think you got to give her something that she can win when she gets back.
Well, maybe even Bayley because but it seemed tonight that's the setup, right? So we're gonna go Bayley Dana now.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, and I like that. I thought that was good. I like that, Dana pushed her too far. Bayley stood up for herself. I thought that was a good setup. And again, it's the whole thing. It's like more storylines, like actual storylines in the women's division. I think will help flesh it out and really give it that weight and prominence that they've been telling us they're doing now with this women's evolution angle. So Paige is getting surgery. Emma, they're going to keep, I guess, teasing for a couple weeks before bringing her back.
Yeah, that's what I would guess. Usually when they start doing this, they debut them after the next pay-per-view. So I'd guess that they do these vignettes until Hell in the Cell. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. But going to the main event, so we talked about it at the top of the show, and we do have more coming up. And after this, I just want to let our listeners know we're going to talk about what's going on with TNA. Going to talk about Alberto Del Rio. But just the match itself with Charlotte and Sasha. I know at the beginning we talked about, the title changing, all very stoked for Sasha with that. How did you think that match ranked amongst the other matchups they've had building up to this? Because they've had quite a few, barn burners leading up to this tonight.
Third best. Third best, but no question.
Nope.
It was so good that it knocked Matt offline.
Yeah,
we'll be back in a second. But Raj, what did you think of this compared to when Sasha won the belt the first time, SummerSlam, all the career-threatening injuries Sasha was subjecting herself to potentially compared to tonight?
I thought it was good. I thought it was real good, but there were a few botch spots here and there. I thought their match in NXT was better, but
Mhm.
it was definitely good. I mean, but you're kind of back to where, I mean, maybe that's what they wanted to do, is kind of get back to where they were, before SummerSlam, because that SummerSlam title change was kind of a last minute thing.
Yeah. And I know what you mean with the botches. It seemed to me Charlotte's backflip, the spiral backflip she did, it seemed like it didn't quite connect how they were wanting it to. They showed, I think, a different angle on the replay to make it look a little better.
Yeah. But that being said, they, I don't think they need to do that many high risk moves in a match. Maybe do one.
Yeah.
I know you really want it. You feel like you're in the Raw main event. You really have to over deliver, but sometimes doing less is more, and just telling that story in the ring.
That's the only part I was surprised by, because with that being the Raw main event, it seemed like going into it was like, oh man, I hope tonight's not the night that Sasha overplays her hand with some of these risky moves.
Right.
But maybe they're scaling it back, scaling that aspect of it back. And tonight was sort of recentering that to where they're going to do stuff, but not, potentially threaten their viability and ability to perform. So that was cool. So we'll see if Matt comes back. But
they're
all in all,
they're having a storm, and I guess their electricity flashed on
gotcha,
and off. So.
Gotcha. So obviously, how much of a ratings rebound do you predict tonight after the debate last week, even going up against football?
I'm guessing they probably get back to the 2.6, 2.7 range. I think I felt like this wasn't a loaded show by any means. The women's title match, it's good, but it's not like something that's going to draw huge ratings. So I don't think, I definitely don't see I don't think they're going to get back to that 3 million mark before football season's over. And who knows how much of their audience erodes by the time it's over, if they will get back to that. And that was always considered a low mark.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Do you think that, keeping the ratings high is obviously important, but when's their TV deal expire with USA?
I think there's still a couple more years.
Yeah. So I'm wondering almost if by that point the business will have changed enough that it won't be as necessary, but probably, because they're getting it was a $100 million deal or something like that. It's an insane amount of money.
Yeah. I got to double check, but it's a lot of money, but they did it with the expectations of the ratings that they signed up with then. Yeah. And, they're getting to new lows. Again, last week was a little, I don't know if you can really factor that in with but the other weeks before that, you're under 3 million now. And that's not what they signed up for. And same thing with going to SmackDown, moving it live. The whole reason was to, jump ratings up, and they're back to where they were, when they were taped. So it's not good. And
tonight, mystery solved for everyone that was wondering, hey, remember that shooter show with Ryan Phillippe that SmackDown Live originally was supposed to go live the week that launched, and then it just disappeared because of all the actual mass shootings that happened? November. Barring no other national tragedy, shooter with Ryan Phillippe will be on USA in November. They confirmed that tonight.
Hard-hitting news, folks.
Yeah. Well, he was there tonight. It was Hollywood, but that was the thing, because we were talking about that was the original thing with SmackDown Live. Part of the reason why they chose that date was to coincide with the premiere of that, and then everything went sideways. So Matt, your final thoughts on the title match tonight? Raj and I were talking about how it was lower risk taking tonight, and it was a little more subdued compared to their.
Sorry guys, we're having a storm here. My electricity went on and off. It was phenomenal. I think it was the third best of the ones I've seen them, including their NXT matches. What a great video package, huh? How awesome was that video package lead-in?
Yeah, I wish they would have showed a lot of that before,
So good.
Yeah, it was really, that was awesome.
I hope they're starting to do that more, because they did that for The Miz on SmackDown last week too. And I love that. I think they've got this archive of footage. Get an intern to comb through it and put these together. It raises the stakes dramatically.
There was a couple of, match-wise, there's a couple of flub-ups in there here or there, but Charlotte is one hell of an athlete. I hate to make a match about one move, but when she went up there, I was like, me and my wife were watching, and I said, dude, there's no way that Sasha can catch her. There's no way that Charlotte can land this cleanly and safe. There's just no way. And then she hit the corkscrew on top of the moonsault. I was like, holy crap. I hate to mark out over a move, but she really is genetically superior. She's exactly what her gimmick is. And holy crap, that match was more than just that move. It was a phenomenal set of false finishes. I love the storytelling of going into last week's finish and having Sasha be the babyface who's learned from her mistakes and flip it around and still reverse out of it into the bank statement nonetheless and get the win. It was awesome. It really was a great match. And that crowd was kind of getting tired toward the end of the night, and for them to react the way that they were says a lot about the girls. The girls did a great job.
No, it definitely got a huge reaction. So why don't Raj, you bring everyone up to speed on the news about what's happening with Alberto Del Rio? I know Wrestling Inc. has the story on this, but he no-showed a AAA event?
Yeah, so he was scheduled for a AAA event last night in Monterrey, Mexico. And yeah, no-showed the event. And the promoter said they had heard from him that morning that he was going to be there. And then there were some reports online that Del Rio was in Orlando, which is where the Bound for Glory pay-per-view was. But yeah, Del Rio tonight released some stuff on Instagram, and he apparently was stabbed. And he was outside. I guess there was what they said a criminal was at a restaurant with a knife. And outside the restaurant, there was an altercation. The guy just stabbed Del Rio several times in the arm, and I'll have to double check, but it almost looked like one of it hit his head. But then he says that he's going to be wrestling at this weekend's UK events. So apparently the injuries weren't too serious. A police report was filed. AAA issued a statement because they were obviously very upset with Del Rio El Patron yesterday. But today they issued a statement saying they wished him well. They felt bad for what happened. But yeah, it's crazy. He got stabbed.
That is
outside of a restaurant. So, wow. But he'll be back in action this weekend in the UK.
Cool. So what? I'm sorry, Matt. What was you gonna say?
I just say God bless him. That's.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the best excuses for no showing.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
So Raj, what's the latest going on with TNA and its potential sale?
Well, yeah. So TNA, last week it looked like either gonna get new ownership or fold. I mean, that's really what it was looking like. It was pretty much up to Billy Corgan or Airlux to kind of come up with a deal, either fund the shows or it goes away. And Dixie Carter, according to the New York Post, there's some third party funded the taping, so we're still back to where we were. No one has majority. I mean, Dixie Carter still has majority ownership. No change in ownership, but they are funded for this week. So the television tapings that they tape this week will last through, I believe it's either the end of November or early December. So they got a little bit of breathing room to figure this out. Knowing their history, they probably won't. But because who knows what kind of deal they made with this third party, unless it was, Dixie's parents giving her a loan. Did they get did they get a stake of ownership in the company? If so, that adds another layer of complications to the whole deal.
Hold up. So that's actually happened before where they've been like literally week to week as far as their ownership goes, as far as them having the finances to run the taping?
Yeah. I mean, Billy Corgan was saying the last, I believe it was 3 tapings that he kind of had to sign the check at the final minute, like as they're going live. I mean, it was like
that is. I'm not just saying this because I work. I'm sorry, Raj. I'm not saying this because I work there. That company, guys, this was the only alternative out there. I know people like Ring of Honor. They like they go these other companies, New Japan, all that crap. But this was a real, legitimate secondary company. You know what I mean? And I'm not just saying this because I work there either. That's really crappy to hear. As a former employee of that company, that's sad. Because there's a lot of good talent out there that deserves to be on television, deserves to be stars, that deserve to be entertaining you, the fans. And for whatever rhyme or reason, they might not fit in Vince's little square opening at the moment, because it might be a circle, if you will. But there's other fans out there that enjoy watching these talents and these guys go and these girls. And that's a damn shame that it's come to this because, again, not because I worked there. During my time there, we had a roster that I definitely would have put on paper against Monday Night Raw as well as SmackDown, and I felt we would have held our damn own. I really believe that. I'd say right around from end of 07 through about, let's say 2010-ish. I felt very strong about that roster.
Yeah, and they were doing, before they got kicked off of Spike, they were doing over 1 million viewers a week. I mean, there was a time when they hit 2 million viewers. There were a couple of times they hit 2 million viewers. Raw last week was, or SmackDown last week was like 2.3 million. So that just shows you like kind of where they had almost gotten to, and a lot of people have a lot of different reasons for what happened, but they had an offer from Toby Keith and Jeff Jarrett, a few years ago. Yeah. And if Dixie would have taken that offer, they probably would still be on Spike, or there's at least a better chance that they would have kept that TV deal. And she didn't. And it was because she wanted a managerial title in the company. And that has led us to where we're at now.
Man, wow. That's sad. As a fan, that's sad.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the WWE is going to be as complacent as and we've seen this over time and time again. Until someone is kicking their butt, they will just sit on their laurels and let things go as they're going.
Yeah.
And a strong TNA would be the best thing for the industry.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, competition, it's good, really good for everyone, and especially the viewers.
And people at home be like, what do you get? Yeah, okay, Matt, you're being pro TNA a little bit here. Settle down there, Chief. You guys were nowhere near them in the ratings. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we did enough at the time. I was there, and I have all friends in WWE that were watching Impact at the time. Okay, that we did enough to make them write their show somewhat differently. I know that for fact.
Right, and again, we're talking about the audience, right? When you're talking about TNA when it was doing 1.2, 1.4 million, that's more than pretty much all non-WWE shows combined right now. Lucha Underground's doing 100, ROH, who knows what they're doing, but it's probably 3 to 4, 5 tops, and TNA now is at 3 to 400. So all of the shows now added up don't add up to what TNA was doing there for a while, at the end of Spike. So it's really sad as a fan. It's sad to see what's going on. I keep hoping that there's going to be a big Hail Mary. Matt, was this when you were in TNA when the rumors of Paul Heyman coming in were happening? What was the reaction backstage with that possibility?
It was a very fast one, I recall, very quickly. I don't know how long it lasted online, but as far as backstage went, maybe 2 weeks. The guys were hoping Paul would come in. Paul was going to make, from what I understand, a very dramatic change. Like everybody would have been, if you're a certain age and above, you'd be out, kind of a thing. That would have probably dissed someone like me at the time, actually. Now, because I would have been above probably that age of new talent. Because he wanted to, my understanding, make a complete.
Hi, Matt. Man, he was going too. I was really interested. Let me text him real quick. But yeah, it's one of the most excited I had ever been for TNA was when it looked like Paul Heyman might be coming in.
Well, that'd be huge.
Oh yeah, and it looked like they were definitely in talks, and it didn't work out at the last minute. Instead, they brought in Tommy Dreamer because Dixie Carter announced the surprise before she had it done. And then they did their own version of an ECW pay-per-view. But yeah.
And no truth to the rumors now that Hogan with his Gawker money is going to step up?
Oh, jeez. I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
First of all, he hasn't gotten the Gawker money.
That's true.
And who knows how much of it he'll get. He'll have to take shreds in bankruptcy court. If he wasn't bankrolled in this thing, and again, if he wasn't bankrolled in this thing, he would have probably settled way early.
Oh yeah.
But by being bankrolled, the guy wanted him to stay till the end, and so he couldn't settle. He could have gotten a lot more. He could have gotten more money than he'll probably end up getting.
Sorry about that, guys. We're having a horrible storm here.
No problem. So, yeah, go ahead and continue with
like it was about 2 weeks worth of rumors. A lot of guys were excited. A lot of guys, someone like me who was above the quote unquote age that Paul was looking to keep talent on board with, we're probably a little bit nervous. But I don't remember more than a week worth.
Well, what Heyman had said in interviews after is that he wanted, as far as the older talent, he was thinking like Sting, Hogan, those guys. And he was saying, yeah, Sting and Hogan are great, but you keep one of those guys and not, not everyone. As far as, I think he meant like the legends. I wouldn't think that you would fall into that age group, because he was talking about pushing beer money and like wanting to,
And I'd worked with him a little bit as a rookie, and I was looking forward to him coming in, to TNA, because it would be my opportunity to work with him now with a little bit more of a skill set, a little bit bigger tool belt, and then more importantly, just being a big 7-foot sponge and shutting up and learning from him. I was stoked for about a week. Then I started hearing about that age cutoff thing, and then I was, then by that time it hit, literally the next day, the rumor changed to something that he wasn't coming.
Yeah, and that's when Tommy Dreamer came in, and you guys did the TNA version of the ECW pay-per-view.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So of course, Wrestling Inc. Stay tuned to the site. There'll be all the updates there, and if something happens on before Wednesday, before our SmackDown Live recap episode, we'll definitely talk about it then. But the site will have all the late breaking developments. Now, quickly, Raj, you want to spoil the TV taping news? We can give people ample warning if they don't want to be spoiled about upcoming TNA episodes.
Yeah, if you don't want to be spoiled with the upcoming TNA Impact Wrestling episodes, just stop now. This is the last thing we're going to talk about. Go ahead and stop now. You've got plenty of time. All right. So at tonight's television tapings, Eddie Edwards defeated Bobby Lashley to win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. TNA just had what they consider their WrestleMania last night, and they didn't do a world title change there, but they did it at the Impact Wrestling tapings. Eddie Edwards, have all the respect in the world for Eddie Edwards, but TNA, they do these title changes sometimes that don't help the wrestler. Like Chris Sabin won the TNA World Championship. It did nothing for him. Just throwing it on someone that's talented without a proper build, it just hasn't worked. Hasn't worked for them. Matt, what are your thoughts?
1,000,000% on the money with Chris Sabin reference. Chris is a good friend of mine. I was excited for him, but they did him no favors to set him up in a situation to help build the company into a bigger brand by him being the champion. Same thing here. Eddie Edwards is a nice guy, fantastic in the ring. He's improved immensely. He's fun to watch. He's not a heavyweight champion.
Yeah,
not yet. They didn't do enough to build him into this yet. I maybe it's me being out of touch. Maybe it's me not watching Impact enough. It could be that. I don't know. But Bobby Lashley, he's improved immensely as well. He's a dominator in that ring. He screams main event. I don't know if that. I don't know. If you're gonna pull the trigger, do it at last night's pay-per-view. Don't do it at a taping.
Right, and it help me. Let me know for the people that don't follow TNA if this would be an apt comparison. But would it be like Sami Zayn beating Brock Lesnar, or not quite, but getting close to that for the title?
In TNA's world, yes, I can see that comparison. Yes, but. Yeah, not as bad. That's not as bad.
And when you say that, I'm like, guys, what are you talking about? That would be freaking awesome. And totally justified, because if anyone could do it, it's Sami Zayn.
All right. What about Sammy's popular. I don't think Eddie is Eddie's a great wrestler, but he's just not there yet. And
is there one more popular between the two?
Between Sammy and Eddie?
No, Eddie Edwards and his what was his partner?
Davey Richards?
Yeah. Wasn't Davey the more popular of the two? I always thought he was at Ring of Honor.
Yeah. I mean, they've always been a popular tag team, but I
always thought David was kind of like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, but anyway, so that's coming up, and TNA's got tapings all week. I could easily see them changing it back. This probably be a cliffhanger for a couple weeks and changing it back. Who knows? Stay tuned to the site for more spoilers throughout the week. We got No Mercy this Sunday. Matt Morgan, myself, and Vince Russo will be back here after that pay-per-view to cover that. And me and Glenn will be back on Wednesday.
Yeah, talk about SmackDown Live. Cool. So thanks everyone for tuning into the podcast. Thanks for checking out our coverage of Monday Night Raw. And if you like it, subscribe on iTunes, subscribe on YouTube, leave us a comment, leave us a rating, follow us all on Twitter. You can find our handles there. Matt, anything you want to plug before we take us out here?
Yes, just my two sponsors, Muscle Sports Magazine at musclesportmag.com, as well as 5% Nutrition at 5percentnutrition.com. My Twitter and Instagrams, both at BP Matt Morgan.
Cool, man. And Raj, everyone should stay tuned to Wrestling Inc. for the latest on TNA and everything else going on in the world of wrestling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's going to be a busy week.
Cool. So until next time, I'm Glenn Rubenstein, and I'll see you back here on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.